We're in sunny California and I'm driving today the equally radiant Lexus RX in, as you can see, the bright sonic copper color. Now this is the new 5th generation car and it's headed to India. So what are we waiting for? Let's get straight to it. Right, so at the front, as you can see, the spindle grille obviously dominates, but you might have noticed that they've done a little bit of an interesting treatment here. While the overall shape is the spindle, the top half is covered in body color and it's the bottom that gets the traditional black grille, so it's kind of like a split thing, but yeah, very much a spindle grille. The LEDs, typically Lexus, the signature look. And overall, as you can see, it is the new design that we saw previewed with the earlier car, the NX, right? The new generation NX. And that's carried over the new design language to the RX as well. As you can also see here, the design language, very familiar, the new Lexus design language. What I particularly like is the swooping sort of roofline. Now, this is a treatment, the pinch sort of treatment is something that we've seen on Lexus cars before, but it drops down a lot more here and looks a lot more flowing, a lot more sleeker, carved by the wind, really nice. Coming to the wheels, the sizes and styling will differ from the India car, but I have to say this black treatment contrasts really nicely with this body color. Now at the rear is a styling treatment that I'm sure you've seen before, not just on Lexus, but a couple of other brands too. Yes, the continuous light bar all across does look nice here as well. In fact, over here, as you can see, it's like a pinched element with the Lexus lettering atop here. You've got an integrated spoiler into the roof and a quite sharply sloped rear windscreen. So at the rear too, very modern, very new, and you can tell this is the new generation Lexus RX. It very clearly carries the new styling theme or direction that the company is going with. So sitting inside here at the rear, I have to say it's nice and spacious. In fact, just before I left India, I happened to sit in the earlier generation car, and this one is, well, clearly a lot, of course, different, a lot better, improved, but the space too seems more. In fact, I can stretch out quite nicely under the seats here. There's ample leg room. Headroom too is quite sufficient. I've got more than a 5-finger gap above my head. So overall, it's a nice spacious environment. And in terms of features, you've got, of course, heated seats and cooled for the rear as well, which is again a nice thing to have. You've got your USB outlets, you've got an armrest, storage, cup holders. So pretty much what you'd expect on a car in this segment. Right, so over here at the front, again, thoroughly modern, a big departure obviously from the earlier car. Interestingly though, it's very familiar again to the NX that we saw, and you'll notice here this large touchscreen. In fact, it's pretty large, it's 14 inches, so that's like laptop size. Very nice. You've got the rotary dials here to adjust temperature and a few other controls. They in fact move at a very nice damped action, so feel really good, high quality. All of the switchgear really actually has this really nice damped feel to it, operates really nicely. It looks really nice and sporty too. In terms of storage, there's ample storage as well. You've got these large cup holders here. You've got some hidden cubbies here, which are really actually quite deep. And what I really like is this sort of two-way opening center console box as well. Other features include 3-zone auto climate control, a Mark Levinson sound system, a panoramic sunroof, a comprehensive ADAS suite, as well as a full connected car experience, which is a first for the Lexus range in India. Again, typically Lexus, you've got your steering mounted controls up here, and the buttons, very interestingly, they are pressure sensitive but also touch sensitive too. So you have dual functions with that setup as well. So that's really something nice, though you do have to get used to it while you're on the move. It might take a little while to get used to. Coming now to power, the new RX has a regular internal combustion engine, strong hybrids and plug-in hybrid models too. So what are they like? Let's begin with the 350h. It's powered by a 2.5-litre 4-cylinder engine that makes 250 horsepower, and Lexus claim a 0 to 100 km/h time of 7.9 seconds. Put your foot down like this and it does set off, not instantaneously, there is a slight sort of pause before you do get any momentum, but after that it's a nice, strong, steady, linear sort of build up. For the rest of the driving experience, in terms of its smoothness, it does that just fine. You've also got paddle shifters here. Now the paddle shifters in D mode, honestly there's no real point using them. You should move down to S for sequential, actually, from what Lexus told us, because you do have normal, eco and sport modes here as well for the powertrain. So you move it here and it does let you sort of hold revs longer and does let you shift more freely than if you were trying to control it with the D mode. So for example, I'm coming down to a corner which I need to take slower, so downshift, and you'll see it does downshift even though the revs climb quite a bit. So that's one of the benefits with the S mode. You can really influence the gearbox quite well. In terms of refinement, the new RX is quite silent, and of course in EV mode it's really silent. You don't have the engine naturally, but even otherwise on steady cruising you can barely hear the engine. But during transient phases, so for example when you are accelerating like this, you can hear the engine and it is quite audible, and the engine note is a little coarse, so that's something that I don't particularly like. But having said that, it is only during the transient phases or when you're accelerating and trying to change pace. So driving in EV mode, it's actually, in case you're wondering what that beep was, it was a warning to tell me to look forward. There's a camera here that keeps monitoring your eyes and facial positions. So if I look away towards you too often, it does warn me saying look ahead. So yes, back to EV mode. It's usable if you keep a steady and light throttle, but press down further on the throttle pedal, maybe about 15%, and the engine does kick in. The handling is something I really like on the car. It's clear Lexus have paid attention to dynamics. Enter corners like this, there's good amount of grip, good amount of feel as well from behind the wheel, so it gives you some confidence around high-speed corners. Remember, the older generation Lexus cars were all about efficiency and comfort, quality of course, but with the new range of cars, it's clear and they've made a conscious effort towards dynamism as well. And speaking of dynamism, it's onto the sporty 500h now, which is powered by a smaller 2.4 litre engine, but it's turbocharged and thus makes a higher 371 horsepower. Now, as for acceleration, obviously it's quicker, but what I like is that it also feels so, because you can feel the car moving off. You do get pushed back ever so slightly, and that feels a lot more sporty, a lot more engaging than the 350h. The claimed 0 to 100 km/h time is 6.2 seconds, but with that sportier engine note and the nature in which the power comes in, compared to the 350h, it feels faster still. This being the F Sport, you of course get paddle shifters, and here they are labeled M for manual, so again it does let you influence the gear shifts a lot more, doesn't second guess you or interfere too often. So if you're just cruising steady along, the 500h is quite refined, and that's something that's really nice, because on the 350h I did feel the engine note was a little coarse. This one sounds a lot smoother, and what's nice is if you were to just drop a gear or two, it sounds really sporty, both the engine and of course the exhaust too. So it's a nice balance of refinement and performance. Between the two, honestly, this would be the engine I pick, both for the obvious performance but also for refinement. as with the 350h, the handling too is something that I'm really enjoying. There's a good amount of grip. Like I said before too, the steering is weighted just right. So yeah, it feels really nice, and I've said it before in this video and I'm saying it again, I'm really glad that Lexus have paid heed to or paid attention to dynamics. So, does the RX deserve your attention? The pricing isn't out as yet, but like its siblings, expect the RX to sit a bit higher than its competition, which would be the likes of the Mercedes GLE, the BMW X5 and the Audi Q7. But what do you get for that extra money? The new generation SUV certainly looks sharp and distinctive, and while on the 350h performance isn't very lively, it handles well, is richly equipped, and in Lexus tradition, built very well and is comfortable too. And then if you do want performance on top, there's always the 500h that delivers on that front as well, and it's a lot more refined. So in a field full of Germans, this Japanese luxury SUV packs quite a lot and deserves a whole lot of your attention.